was that someone was cutting down a tree. But at this hour, in the middle of nowhere, it didn't make sense. And then came the laughter. It was manic, deranged, high-pitched and giddy, echoing through the trees like something out of a nightmare. A sharp, delighted cackle intertwined with the erratic revving of the chainsaw, the sound moving, shifting, getting closer. That was all we needed to hear. I kicked dirt over the fire, smothering the flames instantly. My wife and I scrambled into the tent, hearts hammering in our chests. The fabric walls felt painfully thin, offering no real protection. We clutched each other tightly, barely daring to breathe. The sound continued, the chainsaw sputtering and roaring in the distance, accompanied by more unsettling laughter. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the chainsaw died. A suffocating silence settled over the forest. We stayed curled up in our tent, listening, waiting, straining our ears for any sign of movement. The night dragged on in unbearable stillness. Slowly, exhaustion crept in, lulling us into an uneasy sleep. At some point, I jolted awake. Something had disturbed me, but I couldn't tell what. My pulse pounded in my ears as I focused, trying to catch any sound through the night. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, crunching against the dry leaves just outside our tent. I sucked in a breath, glancing at my wife. She was already awake, staring at me with wide, terrified eyes. We didn't speak. We barely moved. We just listened as the steps circled us, unhurried, measured, as though whoever or whatever was out there knew we were awake. Then I saw them. 3 shadows, distorted and stretched against the thin fabric of the tent by the pale glow of moonlight. Figures standing mere feet from where we lay. They weren't speaking. They weren't moving. They were just standing there, watching. I gripped the machete I had brought, my fingers curling around the handle with a cold sweat slicking my skin. My mind raced. What were they waiting for? Why weren't they doing anything? Seconds stretched into agonizing minutes, but eventually, mercifully, the figures began to move. Their silhouettes shifted, retreating into the dark, disappearing silently into the trees. This was our chance, I whispered urgently to my wife. We had to go, now. In a single motion, I unzipped the tent, grabbed her hand, and we ran. We sprinted through the darkness, barely able to see, branches clawing at our arms as we crashed through the underbrush. My remote key fob was clutched in my free hand, my thumb furiously pressing the button. The car roared to life just as we burst from the trees. We dove inside, slamming the doors shut, locking them instantly. I didn't hesitate. I floored the gas pedal, dirt and gravel kicking up behind us as we sped away, leaving whatever had been lurking in those woods far behind. Only once we reached a hotel did I finally tell my wife about the shadows on the tent. She was livid I hadn't told her sooner, but I knew if I had, she would have screamed. And if she had screamed, I don't know what would have happened. The next morning, driven by a mix of curiosity and fear, we decided to return in daylight. I wasn't sure what I expected to find. Maybe evidence that we'd imagined it all, that our minds had played tricks on us in the dark. But when we arrived, everything was gone. The tent, the chairs, the cooler, our supplies, every single thing we had left behind had vanished without a trace. The fire pit was empty, the ground undisturbed. It was as if we had never been there at all. To this day, I don't know who or what was out there that night. I don't know if it was some sick prank, a warning, or something far more sinister. All I know is that I will never go camping again.
Trang Wedding nữa, đóng tăng cọc à?